Pour some ice into a bowl.
Yes.
Then turn a fan on, and it's going to blow cold air.
Cold air.
Feels good.
Excellencies, 8 months ago, we left COP26 with 1.5 degrees on life support. Since then, its pulse has weakened further. Greenhouse gas concentration, sea level rise, and ocean heat have broken new records. Half of humanity is in the danger zone from floods, droughts, extreme storms, and wildfires. No nation is immune. Yet, we continue to feed our fossil fuel addiction. What troubles me most is that in facing this global crisis, we are failing to work together as a multilateral community. Excellencies, this has to be the decade of decisive climate action. That means trust, multilateralism, and collaboration. We have a choice: collective action or collective suicide. It is in our hands.
Doctors and public officials urging caution tonight, urging Americans to stay inside if possible, to stay cool, and of course, hydrate. Make sure you're drinking water. Power grids under stress, an anxious eye on Texas, of course, after what happened there before. And here in New York tonight, Con Ed sending alerts to customers to conserve power.
In Red Bank, New Jersey, a hospital racing to relocate some patients after the air conditioning in the emergency room failed for a time. Officials say all are safe. Experts say climate change has made rare heat waves 3 to 5 degrees warmer in much of the U.S., and it's at least double the likelihood of record-breaking hot summer days.
Joe Biden's comments came during a visit to a former coal-fired power plant in Massachusetts, which is now being used as a manufacturing facility for the offshore wind industry.
I come here today with a message. As president, I have a responsibility to act with urgency and resolve when our nation faces clear and present dangers. And that's what climate change is about. It is literally, not figuratively, a clear and present danger. The health of our citizens and our communities is literally at stake.
With the president's special envoy for climate change looking on, Mr. Biden said humanity was facing the gravest of threats.
Extreme weather disrupts supply chains, causing delays and shortages for consumers and businesses. Climate change is literally an existential threat to our nation and to the world. Troops, thank you.
The president has been under growing pressure to act, but his plans have been derailed by Congress, with opposition from Republicans and one prominent member of his own party.
Joe Biden, he's up in Massachusetts there. He's talking about green energy, the climate crisis, a big part of his agenda. He's making a push for transformation in American energy production towards green energy, and he's selling it in part as a major jobs program. But how much of an impact is it actually going to have, what he's talking about? So for more, let's bring in ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. So, Mary Alice, here's an event. The president's up in Massachusetts in front of what looks to be a vacant lot strewn with garbage. I'm not quite sure what that was about. But he has an executive order on this matter that he wants to discuss, that he wants the country to know about. There's a $2.3 billion package to tackle climate change and improve infrastructure. Break that down for us first. What's he actually got to give the country?
Yeah, Terry. Well, he was actually standing in front of what was a defunct coal plant that's hoping to turn into a manufacturing plant to start working on building cables to increase offshore wind energy in Massachusetts. It's been a big part of Massachusetts' economy, trying to work on making that offshore wind more sustainable, cheaper, better batteries, better cables. So he was trying to sort of be in a place that symbolized a transition in energy that he would like to see away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy like that. But it was interesting that the majority of his executive actions announced today, including that new number, that $3.2 billion, really had to do with adapting to climate change. The numbers that he was rolling out today are executive actions that this administration is going to take to basically help communities deal with the effects of climate change, help them outfit buildings, residential buildings, commercial buildings, because they're going to face more extreme weather. He mentioned that last year alone, over $100 billion spent trying to deal with the damage from extreme weather events. Also new money to go for low-income families who are having to pay more in energy costs with this extreme heat that's hitting the country just this week. We've seen just millions of people under these extreme weather, extreme heat warnings. People are having to spend more on air conditioning, and so they're trying to make sure there's money available for people as they have to adapt and pay more for energy right now. So those numbers are really different than something that will help with combating climate change. They really are about adaptation, important, clearly, but very different than trying to move the country away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy, which we know is pretty much the only thing that will actually start to dampen the effects, try to reverse the clock here, and cut away at climate change.
Well, that's it exactly, Mary Alice, isn't it? It's a big, big problem, and a problem that really a president on his or her own cannot really get after in any big way. These programs, these ideas that the president has, there are small things that the president can do, but at the end of the day, it requires Congress to do something, attempt a national endeavor of that magnitude. Congress isn't going to do anything on climate. It's pretty clear after Joe Manchin. So is this the president just trying to get anything out there?
And the urgency here, he understands that the UN climate report called what is happening code red for humanity, like he mentioned. He has to show that he's responding to that in any way. And I think that right now, with this extreme weather that people are living through, everyone is feeling it. They're thinking about it. They're thinking that, oh my gosh, if this is the hottest summer we've ever had, but maybe the coolest summer we're ever going to have in the near future, it is terrifying to folks, and he wants to be able to respond to that. I think that there's just been so much frustration from voters and activists on this. There's a sense of despair, frankly, among a lot of young voters and a lot of young activists who feel like they did everything they were asked to. They showed up and voted. They elected Democrats. They elected majorities, and they don't understand why this is the kind of thing that's been put off and put off. They agree that it's going to take big actions from Congress, and they feel like they wanted that and they voted for that. And I think that he's going to have a really, really tough time. Democrats as a whole are going to have a tough time keeping young voters activated on this.
They do need voters in the red states because it is a national problem, and those voters count just as much, maybe more so, obviously, given the Senate and the Electoral College. Mary Alice Parks, thanks very much.